I think it's interesting that you said that you ended the relationship, but there's not really a reason why the original relationship ended. Now that there's been a little bit of distance, we begin to see things through rose-colored glasses. You were both given some space. That's really good for the avoidant. They start to calm down, their nervous system relaxes, and they get to this place where they're like, you know what? I kind of miss you. And of course, you get together, you have a great time, and it's like no time has passed at all. Even though this was instigated by the other person, coming back into connection with you and then moving a little bit too quickly can make that person want to bolt or pull away again. So I'm not really surprised that there was some silence after that. And for this situation, I would say you definitely want to come together and sit down and have a conversation about what the expectation here actually is. And so it's important for you to know your goals, values, and standards for a relationship with you. Do you know what your boundaries are, and are you prepared to uphold them? And it sounds like you have a good grasp on that since you were the one to end the original relationship. It's also important to acknowledge and understand the other person's emotional capacity for intimacy and closeness, and that includes being able to have difficult conversations. The conversation can look like, hey, I really want to be with you, I like spending time with you, and I want to see where this goes, but we do have to set some ground rules for the way this relationship is going to work. You can acknowledge your partner's need for space. And as long as this is okay with you, you can say something like, hey, I recognize that you need to take some space every now and again, and I definitely encourage that. You have to remember that avoidant attachers love their independence. They have a fear that it's going to be taken away from the other person, which is usually what causes them to start to pull away to begin with. But the important piece of this is that you're not going to interpret that when they do pull away as rejection or take it personally. It's recognizing that it has less to do about you and more to do about how they're feeling internally. And this may take some time, but it's really beneficial if you guys can get to a place where you can just have open and transparent communication. You allow each other to express your feelings clearly without judgment and without criticism. And what you're doing is you're teaching each other that you can create a safe space within the container of this relationship. And a big step here is to avoid rushing into emotional intimacy. And this is where we want to pay attention to our body. What are we experiencing? What am I thinking? What am I feeling? What's happening right now? Do I feel a buildup of anxious energy happening? Another thing you can do is just acknowledge each other's fears. Start using a language of a shared mission and vision. Where are we going? What are we doing? Why are we doing it? Why are we in this relationship? What do we want to get from this in the long term? And really, what is the intention for dating? I'm hearing more and more from people that they don't necessarily want to be married, but they do want a long-term committed relationship. So I think it's really important to establish why both of you are in this relationship. Another thing is to celebrate each other's independence. So when the avoidant pulls away or they need time away from the relationship, make sure that you also have things that you can do that occupy your time. So you're not thinking and wondering and time traveling back and forth into the past, into the future, wondering what's happening in this relationship and with this person. There's a reason we fall in love with people, and it's usually because they have a higher level of independence in the very beginning. People are interesting, their hobbies are interesting, the books that they read, but when we get into relationships, a lot of those things tend to go away because we change each other in the process. And this is why you always hear me say, it's not your job to fix or change people. And if we're trying to change the person that we're with, it's probably not the person for us. The biggest piece to this is slow things down and remain patient. What that doesn't mean is that we're going to ignore bad behavior. We're going to call that out in the kindest way possible using I statements. I feel this when you pull away. I feel this when you don't text me back. You have to think of relationships more as collaborating with another human being that has goals, dreams, desires, wants, needs. So collectively, what are you looking to co-create with this person? Because we're always in a state of creating something. We're always in a state of becoming. But what you create is always up to you.